Today we're exploring the topic of how Ricky Gervais exposed how Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis helped Jeffrey Epstein and how they were connected to the entire network. It's midday and I'm drinking my peach seltzer. Let me know what you guys are drinking as you settle in to watch this video, and as always, thank you guys for subscribing. Now let's dive into the topic.
So in the end, he obviously didn't himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
The Epstein files reveal Ashton Kutcher allegedly tapped into Ghislaine Maxwell's network to scout out a promising not-of-age girl.
My day job is as the chairman and the co-founder of Thorn. We build software to fight human trafficking in the sexual exploitation.
Ricky Gervais has done it again. He's exposed Hollywood's darkest secrets, and this time he's naming names. Ricky Gervais reveals how Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis helped Epstein. Not just knew about it, helped. Ricky exposed how the downfall of Ashton and Mila came after people realized just how many convicted offenders Ashton and Mila have been friends with and have supported.
Yeah, they definitely did surround themselves with people that tend to get themselves in a bit of trouble. So curious if Ghislaine Maxwell, was one of those people.
Yet they themselves always just happen to conveniently not know what illegal things their friends have been doing. Danny Masterson, Diddy, and now Epstein. How convenient that they never knew. How convenient that they were always in the dark. Now Ricky Gervais is calling them out. So what did Ashton and Mila know?
Uh-oh, Ashton Kutcher. Looks like the Epstein files have called you to the front of the room. This is explosive.
Yeah, being friends with Diddy and going to Diddy parties and all of that already implicates you in things that have gone wrong. We could look at any people that attended those parties and say they at least knew, if they didn't participate as well, in the wrongdoing that's going on. But I'm very curious to see the messages that were back and forth between Maxwell and Ashton.
Now, it's no secret that Ashton Kutcher has a checker pass when it comes to women, especially young women. But recently, the Epstein files have revealed that Ashton Kutcher has had numerous emails back and forth with Ghislaine.
Ricky Gervais has allegedly stopped shocking revelations from the Epstein files that have brought to light surprising and troubling information involving Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, a couple known for their anti-exploitation and anti-trafficking charity work. Despite their public image as protectors of children, emails suggest that Kutcher's team was involved in coordinating with Ghislaine Maxwell, a figure deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein's criminal network.
Of course.
And according to Ricky, this was allegedly just one instance of a seriously long history of some seriously questionable behavior from the couple. You see, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis first gained fame in 1998 as Michael Kelso and Jackie Burkhart on That 70s Show, a highly successful Fox series running for 8 seasons. Their characters were on and off romantically throughout the series, but they had a lot of chemistry. Kunis admitted to People magazine in 2001 that she thought Kutcher was pretty cute and freaked out a little when she read about their kiss in the script. I was like, oh, he's so cute, it's the Calvin Klein model, she explained. Then I was like, I have to kiss him. I was so nervous and uncomfortable. I had the biggest crush on him. Kutcher was also pretty anxious and said he had no idea Kunis was worried. I was so nervous. She acted so cool. She seemed as if she'd done it 1,000 times, he said. I was the one with the butterflies in my stomach. I mean, here's this little girl and I have to kiss her. It was nerve-wracking. But here's the thing. At the time, Mila was just 14 and Ashton was 19. And to make things worse, a 2002 Rosie O'Donnell show interview revealed something disturbing. Danny Masterson had bet Kutcher $20 to French kiss a 14-year-old Kunis during a scene.
Who is now in prison for heavily taking advantage of women.
A bet to kiss a 14-year-old for $20, and he did it.
That was my first kiss. Why don't you tell them a bet you made with Danny about our first kiss?
No, it wasn't the first kiss. It was like a second or third kiss.
It was the first. It was like the first week.
No, it was not the first week.
Whatever. Let me tell you what happened.
No, let me tell you what happened.
No, okay, so I've never kissed a guy. So I was so. I mean, you know, Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life.
Sure.
And he was very nice about it. He was like, "Oh, don't worry." So I was like, Okay. Then Danny goes and goes, dude, I'll give you $10 if you French kiss her. What would you stick your tongue in my mouth or some?
What? No.
Now, according to Ricky Gervais,
what makes that weird is the big age difference, 14 to 19. It's one thing if you have to be asked to do that on a television show, which is still a little bit strange if I'm saying so myself. But if it goes on beyond that, we're talking about things that have legal implications.
around the same time, there were emails reportedly exchanged via Kutcher's assistant. That reveals attempts to set up meetings with Ghislaine Maxwell while Kutcher was busy filming his TV show, Punked. These communications included detailed directions and arrangements for an underage girl and her father to visit the set of Punked, with the intention of helping the girl become an actress. The emails provided specific instructions for the girl's arrival, including meeting points and contact numbers redacted in the files. Ellie Halsman, who previously worked for Miramax and later for Kutcher's production company, was assigned to greet and speak with the girl about acting. The girl's visit included a set tour, meeting Ashton Kutcher, and possibly sharing a meal.
Now, this wouldn't be weird in any instance if it didn't have to do with, well, one, a dirty Hollywood industry, and two, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the direct leader of everything that went on in the Epstein network. She was the connection bringing in young women. And we know how many people, how many young girls were brought into this network to be actresses, to be models, to get famous. So when you see that documentation of Ashton and Ghislaine Maxwell, it just directly falls in line with all of the other crimes that went down in those very similar situations.
This level of coordination raises serious questions about the nature of the relationship between Kutcher's team and Maxwell, especially considering the girl's status. But this was not an isolated incident. According to the survivor, Kutcher was involved in luring victims into Epstein's network. More shockingly, he is alleged to have blood on his hands. Connected to a series of high-profile, unexplained people passing away, this network reportedly spans the 2000s Hollywood scene and involves elite figures. Now, Ashton Kutcher, once seen as Hollywood's golden boy, and together with Mila, they formed a Hollywood power couple. Well, that was until it got revealed that they defended their fellow 70s showcast mate Danny Masterson when he got accused of the R word.
They basically put their word on the line that Masterson was a good guy. He would never do something like that, the R word as they're calling it. Turns out he did. He was convicted of it, and that put Ashton Kutcher and his girlfriend in a really bad position because they essentially put their word on the line for this criminal. And it turned out that they were wrong and either lying or they didn't know. You could imagine what most people would assume.
Danny Masterson faced multiple sexual assault allegations starting in 2017. Despite the LAPD investigation and Netflix eventually firing Masterson from the ranch, Kutcher initially fought to keep him on the show and later wrote a glowing letter of support during Masterson's sentencing in 2023. This letter, which included questionable claims about Masterson's character, sparked widespread outrage, leading Kutcher and his wife to issue a reluctant apology, stating their support for victims of sexual assault and abuse.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so.
Reading the script much? I mean, this is 100% PR script being read. Whether they wrote it themselves or someone from the PR realm wrote it for them, this is not, it doesn't come across to me as genuine. Then they come up with these anti-trafficking groups and funds and charities, and it's like they're trying to put a good facade forward, possibly because their toes are dipped in the evil.
In the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years. So that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
Despite this, the Epstein survivor claims Kutcher's ties to Masterson and Combs are just the beginning of a deeper, darker involvement. Over the years, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have been widely recognized for their involvement in anti-trafficking and anti-exploitation charities.
Right, and it leads me to believe that that is just in place because they know how bad they look, having been in communications with Maxwell, friends with Masterson, putting those letters together, in multiple instances being photographed with Diddy at different events. It just doesn't look good for them, so they have to do something to clean that slate.
However, these revelations suggest a stark contrast between his public advocacy and behind-the-scenes actions. The charity, which is supposed to protect children, may inadvertently be linked to exploitation activities. There is skepticism about the transparency and effectiveness of such charities, with some critics suggesting they may serve as fronts for other agendas.
Yeah.
Back in 2010, Kutcher and then-wife Demi Moore founded Thorn. The charity claims to fight child exploitation online. Thorn developed a tool called Spotlight in 2014, designed to analyze large amounts of data to assist law enforcement. Thorn has faced criticism for its data scanning methods. Some experts argue infringe on privacy and are less effective than claimed. The European Data Protection Supervisor criticized Thorn for misleading the public about its civil society role. Thorn's financial documents reveal tens of millions in revenue, millions spent on lobbying, particularly in Europe, investments in Ashton Kutcher's venture capital fund, Sound Ventures, co-owned with billionaire Ron Burkle, who appeared on the Jeffrey Epstein list and has ties to Harvey Weinstein and Diddy, restricted disclosure of investors, and limited public information on operations. Thorn has lobbied for legal obligations requiring online platforms to deploy scanning software, potentially affecting encrypted services like WhatsApp and Signal. Critics argue this could lead to mass surveillance. Kutcher has also been involved in various tech investments, including the controversial WeWork, which ended in bankruptcy despite his promotion efforts.
Leads me to ask the question, if there's an anti-traffic tech service, application, for a lack of better words, is it a problem if it infringes on privacy? Or is it a good reason to infringe on privacy? You would think that if you want to dive into and try to stop these traffic efforts, some type of privacy is going to need to be infringed upon of some people somewhere. Actually really curious about where you guys stand with that. Is that infringement, is it okay because it's for a good cause? Or is it infringing on our rights?
He has faced ethical concerns for undisclosed conflicts of interest in media profiles. In 2023, Kutcher and Kunis were fined $1 million by the SEC for conducting an unregistered offering of crypto assets related to their NFT project, Stoner Cats. According to Ricky, following the backlash, Kutcher and Kunis have engaged in extensive PR efforts, including staged paparazzi appearances and selective media interviews. Notably, they have reversed their previous stance on keeping their children out of the public eye, now featuring them in media appearances to regain public favor. Ashton strikes me as the kind of guy that will start a charity that he's actually guilty of doing. So if he's ever questioned, he can be like, who, me? Couldn't be.
That's literally exactly what I was saying a few minutes ago.
As a CSA survivor, when I found out Kutcher had written a letter in defense of Masterson, I immediately thought, oh, so all that charity work was just for access to the vulnerable and a mask to the public. Kutcher and Mila trying to gauge the social temperature every few months with only a frosty reception. I can't control the weather, Jackie. Remember they said Epstein got rich because he was such a smart investor.
And the reason I'm doing this is not because I think in the crease is good, but because Jock told me Mila would sit on my lap if I
Hilary Duff is in Lizzie McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen. And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18.
I was hoping that that statement was going to be in this video because that's a very creepy thing to say. You have a girl that's underage. It's very strange as an adult male to say, we're all waiting for her to be of age. Why would everyone be waiting for her to be of age? She's a good-looking young girl. Why do you want her to turn 18? What are your intentions with her at that age? Just seems very, very strange to say something like that, especially on camera.
Kutcher and Mila Kunis have supported controversial figures in the past. Kutcher was reportedly connected to parties involving P. Diddy, another figure linked to questionable activities. charities. Ron Burkle, a co-founder of Kutcher's venture capital firm and someone listed on Epstein's flight logs, adds another layer of complexity to Kutcher's network. The situation with Kutcher is not isolated. There have been similar concerns about other celebrities and their involvement with questionable charities and individuals. P. Diddy's visits to orphanages in Kazakhstan raised eyebrows, especially after a child claimed Diddy attempted to buy him. The same pattern, different names. Many celebrities create or support charities to boost their public image. Behind the scenes, these organizations may operate differently from their stated missions. There is a call for greater scrutiny and accountability regarding these charities. Despite the gravity of these revelations, there appears to be a lack of comprehensive media coverage and investigative journalism on the matter. Journalists have been quick to write about other figures like P. Diddy, but hesitant to delve deeply into Kutcher's connections.
Yeah, this is actually just scratching the surface right here of Ashton Kutcher, and it's very true that not a lot has been said.
The absence of direct proof linking Kutcher personally to wrongdoing complicates the narrative, but does not diminish the concerns raised by the emails. The fall from grace of Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis is marked by their controversial support of Danny Masterson, the opaque operations of their charity, Thorn, and questionable business dealings. Despite their previous popularity and effective PR, the public remains skeptical, with ongoing criticism and a tarnished reputation.
And this all leads me to believe, because everything is lined up, hanging out with the people that are doing all this wrong. Many of them have been convicted, having email discussions back and forth with people that are in prison for very evil things, putting a charity to support the cause of all the evil that surrounded them as maybe a curtain, utilizing their children to make them look like great people again. It really leads me to believe, were they just around all of these things? I mean, they clearly knew what was going on. Anyone that's in this space clearly knows it. So were they just in the know and never said anything? Or were they in some way involved in things that went on with Diddy, with Weinstein, with Masterson, with the Epstein network? That's the bigger question here. Now, if you want to dive deeper into these topics, you can go check out this video, but let me know your thoughts on this one down below.